What is going on YouTube? My name is Brett. Today I just found out that GameStop's going to be closing their doors in 2025 in Canada. This is really big news for the video gaming industry. It's going to shake a lot of things up. The biggest one being how you're going to find your video games. It's definitely going to be at least a little bit harder. If you live in the big cities, it won't be too bad. You'll still have a lot of box stores to go to like Best Buy, Walmart, that will carry video games, but they're always a big hit or miss. The biggest thing and why people loved GameStop is the fact in its name, GameStop. You go there, you expect to find video games. Yes, they changed that in the last 5 years. I would say it's honestly like 70% toys, 30% video games. But there was a time before COVID where these stores were just packed and packed with not just new games, but used games. And they were the place to stop and find your video games. I'll give you guys an example. Where I live in southern Alberta, I don't live in a big city, but the closest big city to me is Lethbridge. They have just about 100,000 people there, and there was a time right before COVID hit, we had 3 GameStops. We had one in the south end, which was its own brick and mortar store, and then we had 2 in our one mall. Now, why there was 2 in the mall? We had one to start with, and it was on the inside of the mall. And that one's been there for decades and decades. But all of a sudden they decided to put one on the outside of the mall, and it had its own entrance on the outside. It was excluded from the actual mall corridors. And so you had to, like, when you walked in, it was just in there and then you would leave. You weren't even really like in the mall, even though it was actually connected to it. For many years, they were running 2 GameStops in this mall. I couldn't figure out why. I asked many employees that would work there, and they just said that it was profitable enough to have both running, and they just kept them running as long as they could. When COVID hit, we actually lost one of those GameStops in the mall. So then we were down to just 2 GameStops in the city. Then last year in 2024, we lost a second GameStop, the brick and mortar store in the south end of the city. Now we only have 1 GameStop in all of Lethbridge. So with this city, it's not a huge city. You don't have 1 million people. There's 100,000, okay? So when it comes to stock and it comes to variety of product, there really is not much. You go into Best Buy, all the shelves are practically empty. Same thing with Walmart. You're gonna find odds and ends of video games. You'll be very lucky to even find newer release titles that have just come out within the coming months. You know, one of the greatest things about GameStop that I loved was that if they didn't have the product, they could order it in for you. So you can go there and, you know, if you don't have the game that you're looking for, especially if it's a bit of a smaller title, not necessarily rare, but just one that you know the company's not going to carry a lot of, at least they can bring it in for you. And, you know, if you have the patience to wait, you could always do that. So aside from the video gaming consumers that are going to be directly affected by this closure of GameStop, this is also going to affect the selling market and then the resellers world. Being that we don't have a lot of options already in Canada to buy new and used video games, you don't see a lot of mom and pop video game shops just opening up left, right, and center to give better selection for people. So now that we have GameStops closing down, that's another big name brand store that we don't have the option to go to anymore. With the closures of GameStop coming, I'm not quite sure how this is going to affect the reselling world of things when it comes to video games. In Canada here, GameStops didn't really carry many older games. For us, they were just carrying the current gen, and usually they'd have one generation before. So for right now, they've been selling PS4, Xbox One, but I think they've also been trying to phase them out as much as they could. I know with the GameStops down in the States, some of them do have older and then even retro games too that they include, which creates a lot better of a market when it comes to the video game world. I think going forward in 2025, when these stores do shut down, we're going to see a bigger boost in the Facebook marketplace when it comes to listings. You're going to have more people trying to sell their stuff, because don't forget that GameStop also accepted trade-ins for video games as well. And now that we won't have stores like that, people, you know, especially people that may not be comfortable with going to a pawn shop, because let's be honest, there is a type of demographic of people that go there. It is what it is. It's just, I always look at it as a grungy, kind of dirty way of life, but that's where you find the deals, okay? It's like a storage locker. You know, don't buy a storage locker expecting no dust, all right? You're gonna get a little asbestos spread in there. But that's not the point. The point is, if people don't have the option to trade their stuff into GameStop and they really don't want to go to a different place where they may feel like they will be underpaid with their product, you're going to see people now flocking to places like Kijiji, which is a counterpart to Craigslist. So if you're an American, our Craigslist is mostly Kijiji. We do have Craigslist in Canada. It just usually only works in the major cities. I don't know why in a city of like 100,000, 200,000 people, Craigslist just isn't popping. I don't know. It's a weird app, but it's a little different here in Canada. I know right now, as I'm speaking, there is actively a fight and war in the secondhand market world to keep video games alive. I know a lot of people hate resellers. It bothers them. We need resellers. Everybody needs them. The regular consumers, other resellers like myself, I need competition. You need competition, especially now more than ever. If we're going to keep losing these commercial stores and we have no places to go to, you start going to a mall and there's not even one video game store in the mall, you're going to have to start thinking a little differently. And you can't go on Amazon and just pay their crazy prices all the time. Same thing with eBay. eBay can be pretty difficult at times. If you don't understand the website or you're newer to it, you may not know how to actually get a proper deal on those sites. So I don't blame you for going onto the marketplace, trying to keep it more local, cut the shipping out as well, maybe save yourself a little bit of money and some taxes here and there as well. Every little bit always helps, especially when you're just trying to build a collection. Like if you don't care about the value of stuff, you just want to play the games and have some fun, I would highly recommend going on the Facebook Marketplace, sticking to sites like those, secondhand markets, go to some local shows you have in cities, shows like conventions, thrifts, all that different kind of stuff. That's where you're going to catch real deals. So to kind of conclude this video, I am pretty sad that GameStop's going to be closing down. We'll be losing the last branch that we had in the city near me, which is sad. Maybe we'll go and just say a little rest in Pepe on the bad boy. Maybe do a little short video when the day does actually finally come. But it will be interesting. I'm very interested to see where the market moves forward. Like I said, when you walk, especially in Canada here, you walk into a Walmart or a Best Buy, you're not going to find the game you're looking for. Like, let's say, for example, even Stardew Valley, okay, just a random game that popped in my head, you might struggle to find a physical copy of that game. Ultimately, some of the easiest ways to buy your video games are going to be online, having them shipped straight to your door. But I'm a little old school. I also believe in getting a deal in savings, and that is going to be definitely found on thrift stores, Facebook Marketplace, all these secondhand shop buyers. Another interesting thing too is that we just got the Nintendo Switch 2 release trailer. So now we have a new console coming in the fall. They also said that the games are going to be physical still, and they're going to be doing them on those cartridges, which is huge. And this kind of makes things a little weird because it's like, so GameStop's going to be shutting down while Nintendo's going to be bringing out a brand new console with new games. And where will we buy these? Where are they going to be distributed? Am I going to have to go into a Walmart and like line up with people and try to do that? Or is it just going to be easier now to order on Amazon? This is going to be a lot of change. There's going to be huge change coming in 2025. I am excited, like I said. I think this was better, especially just because of the direction that GameStop went. Like I said, going 70% toys and then 30% video games, when initially your business was built up on the video game world, I didn't understand the pivot, especially knowing the toy world and how the margins are actually really thin on new toy product, okay? The costs between the companies, shipping, bringing the product in, brands that you got to pay for, royalties, all that stuff, they got really thin margins. So to fill your store up with toys, I don't understand exactly how that was going to keep you guys in the green. Let me know down below what your guys' thoughts are on this whole situation with GameStop closing down in Canada. Even if you don't live in Canada, if you're an American, overseas, possibly in France, because I heard they're closing down in France too. Please comment down below your thoughts. I would love to read through. I'll comment back and reply to you guys as much as I can. 2025, new changes, new year, just like every year, some crazy shakeups. But I'll catch you guys in another video soon. Peace out, y'all.